thank you for watching. If you would like and subscribe to the channel, that would be great. Thank you very much. Hi Gemma, thank you for coming on at such short notice to do a wee podcast. So obviously the topic of choice is the IPF bench press rule change. Before we get into all that, just tell me a wee bit about you.
So I'm a Nottingham University powerlifter. I started in January, so I've got my first competition in December, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
At the moment, my favourite lift is bench. That changes frequently. So yeah, I'm pretty new to the sport, but I guess I love bench so much. I would have a chat with you about it because I've had to change my style a little bit. So yeah.
So the rules already have changed how you train and how you're getting on then.
Ever
So
so slightly.
what
Yeah.
I always say I don't do powerlifting myself. I am very interested in it. I do strongman. So with strongman rules, there isn't really much rules.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's just about lifting really heavy, as heavy as you can. So, what brought you into doing powerlifting?
So I started going to the gym last June, and I just started deadlifting and I just loved it. And then I tried out bench and I just fell in love with all of the lifts that obviously we do. And I was like, oh, there's a sport that actually incorporates all three. And I went to the taster in January, and the team there are so lovely and they're so welcoming. And it's the first time at uni I've actually felt welcomed into a society that I fitted in. So I thought, well, must be for me. So I stuck with it. Got a coach now, and yeah, I'm doing pretty well, I think. So yeah, I
Brilliant.
just fell in love with it really from day one. Yeah.
Fantastic. So with your first competition coming up in December, obviously the rule change doesn't take effect until the 1st of January. So you can still use the old IPF rules. So how are you changing? Are you going to wait till after then to change the way you're training, or have you already started incorporating that in?
So ironically, the day before they announced the change, my coach he said to me, "Oh, how do you set up?" And I used to set up my feet on the bench, and then he switched me to feet on the floor because he thought it would give me a bigger arch, which it did. And then the next day they were like, "Oh yeah, you can't set up with feet on the feet on the bench." So I had already switched, but for me, I think it's gonna be the range of motion that has the biggest effect. Being having reasonably short arms, I'm just at depth, I think.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to tell because of the way they've outlined it. They've put two circles on the joints, and I mean, where is the joint surface exactly? If the
Yeah.
joint surface is the top of the joint, then I'm fine. If it's the bottom of the joint, then I'm not fine.
Yeah.
It's really variable. My setup itself, yeah, it's going to stay the same, I think. I'm going to keep feet on the floor. I seem to have picked it up quite quickly, so yeah, it'll be okay.
Do you have a wide grip or a narrow grip?
Um, I'm I'm sort of middle finger on the band, so reasonably wide, but not
Yeah.
as wide as I could, if that makes sense.
And I mean, I don't know if so the arch then, do you have to change your arch? Like, are you still able to use your arch? Is that
So
still
yeah,
within the
I'm
guidelines?
yeah, I'm keeping my arch. So I had enough range of motion with my arch as it was
Yeah.
because I only started in January and my arch took forever to build. It's never been that massive.
Yeah.
Um, though it's reasonable, it's not that big. So long as it doesn't get any bigger,
Yeah.
which my physio is delighted about. But yeah, it's I think in terms of physio as well. I told her about having to set up with feet on the floor, and there was a bit of concern there because I've had lower back problems. But it's just a matter of getting your body getting used to that way of setting up and that movement. I think that a lot of people are going to struggle with that. It's the
Yeah.
muscles getting used to that way of moving your body. That's been the biggest issue people face, but not an expert.
My thinking was it'll not affect male as like, well, this part won't affect male much, but if you're a woman with bigger breasts, is that going to affect your range of motion? Because I mean, you have to have the arm. We can't do nothing about having big or small boobs. Like that's just our genetics. But I just wonder, is that going to affect some female lifters?
Yes, so there is an argument that this new rule not eliminates, but really reduces the ability for people with thick torsos and short arms to
Yeah.
compete at high levels. So those master benchers and that people who specialize in bench,
Mhm.
are never going to win those high level competitions again. And yeah, people with thick torsos and short arms are just disadvantaged. People who are quite skinny and have long arms,
Mhm.
they still keep their big arch, so their range of motion is still quite short. So yeah, it is a big question of, are you eliminating and disadvantaging certain body types for sure? Yeah, that's, I think, one of the biggest issues with it
Yeah.
is that body type debate. I mean,
And do you know?
personally, I'm not against it. I think it's good to have a sort of equal playing field for everyone, because
Yeah.
that's 1 centimeter range of motion is a bit of a joke, to be honest. But yeah, that body type elimination, I think, is quite unfair. You know, at what point do you ban sumo deadlifts?
Yeah. That was
And at what
that
point
was
do you
going to be
ban
probably one of my next podcasts.
yeah.
And the same with a squat too, like, because some people have a narrow squat and some people have a wide stance squat. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the range of motion as well is going to be a lot different. Again.
Yeah, and it's obviously body type. For people with different length femurs squat at different like widths, and it's body type. It's not trying to get smaller range of motion, anything to do with that. It's about how your body is suited to squat, how it's suited
Yeah.
to deadlift. I personally hate conventional deadlift because the way I'm put together.
Aye.
Sumo just suits me. And if they
Yeah.
turn around and say you can't sumo anymore, I'd be like, well, I can't powerlift anymore.
God.
Quite frankly, because sumo, it just my lower back can't deal with it.
Aye.
Yeah, the reason I was in physio.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, sumo
And
really got me out of it.
then I suppose too, for the shorter arm people, would they have to change? Would weight and height categories have to come into it? If they were wanting to compete, that might be another thing they might have to split out into.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything about them thinking about weight categories. They've stayed the same. That the rules are the same across all the weight categories. Because obviously your body type isn't necessarily dependent on your height or your weight. You have very short, stocky people who are quite heavy, or you can have very thin, tall people who are very, very light.
Yeah.
So it's a bit difficult to sort of specify to weight category. But I mean, it's one way you could look at it. I feel like they just made a technical lift even more technical.
Yeah. Have you anything else you want to clear up about it, or any other opinions on it, or views on it that you want to put out there?
I mean, yeah, to sum up really what I feel about it is, I mean, I agree with it from the point of view of having a level playing field, as I say, having that, eliminating that 1 centimeter range of motion, which is quite frankly a joke. But yeah, it is the question of, are we disadvantaging body groups too much that they can't realistically be a powerlifter anymore to some extent?
Yeah.
And you know, are they going to question sumo? Are they going to question squat stance? Is this going to make powerlifting not fun anymore?
Yeah.
Because they get far too intense with this, keeping it even, keeping it fair, when what's been the problem for the last however many years powerlifting's been a thing? It's only suddenly become an issue. And that's my biggest concern is, are they going to change the whole sport? Which I don't think they will, but
Yeah,
it's
no, I
possible.
don't think they will. But changing sometimes, if in a change of rules can help whenever it comes to like bigger sponsors or more money being involved, or people, if people are saying, well, I'll give you X amount of money to pay, to pay for your top three if you change X, Y, and Z, then I mean, that always money. If there's money involved,
Yeah.
things will always change to whoever's paying for it. But at the same time, it would be good. It would be nice to see, powerlifters actually getting paid properly for the amount of work that you have to, like, even as a strongman, I know how much work, it's the exact same amount of work I have to put in as you have to put in to do your lifts, is what I have to do mine. So it would be nice if they were changing the rules for that perspective, to be able to pay their athletes.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. That'd be so good. There's no such pro lifter, is there? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
Unless you're Eddie Hall and you've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah. or you're like me trying to be Eddie Hall with a YouTube channel.
Go for it, girl.
Anyway, Gemma, thank you for coming on.